Okay, I want everyone to pick up their penny with their dominant hand. Okay, now put it back on the desk. Now with that same hand, put your thumb next to your pointer finger and try to pick it up again. See how hard it was? Remember how easy it was to do it with your dominant hand with your thumb? That's just the beginning of it. I'm an occupational therapist. I help people with brain damage or not able to do things with their hands. I help them learn how to pick up different objects off of floors, desks, and other areas. Being an occupational therapist, I teach people how to do all sorts of things involving the small ligaments. In this particular job, I help people every day and every minute of the day. Occupational therapist almost always works in an office area with equipment in a room to help different kinds of people. My three career choices are occupational therapist, physical therapist, and a dentist. A physical therapist is pretty much the same thing as an occupational therapist, but they help people in rehab with their large ligaments. A dentist helps people, but in a different way. They help keep your mouth clean. My opportunity cost is the highest valued alternative in which one is for us to give up in order to get the first choice. In order to be an occupational therapist, I gave up being a physical therapist. The reason why I chose to be an occupational therapist was because I thought that I would help more people in the way I think is more entertaining and helpful. My positive incentives. My first positive incentive is that I love helping people that are looking for a better life. The second one is I get to work with all sorts of different kinds of people and make relationships with them. And finally, my last positive incentive is that I can take off anytime that I want to, no matter what the issue is. My negative incentives. My first negative incentive is that I would have a low starting salary. The second one is that there would be various illnesses going around from the patients and I would have a high chance of getting them. My last one is there might be uncooperative people in a single day of work that aren't willing to do the things that they need. On my spreadsheet data, as an occupational therapist, I made an annual salary of $54,000 a year. And then I divided my yearly salary by 12, which was $4,500 a month. The section I was wrong, that I was way off, was the housing and apartment, because I didn't know that I was going to be sharing an apartment with two other people. The reason why I chose to split an apartment 3 ways was because it'll be cheaper to live, and all 3 of us had to pay $546 a month. On my pie graph, my housing is 12% of my monthly budget because I'm sharing an apartment with 2 other people. My discretionary section is 23% because it has all my random miscellaneous small sections in there. My smallest is my toiletries because at only 1% because I haven't put a little bit of money towards that area because I don't need the expensive stuff. My school loans is at 9% because I'm going to University of Kansas for my degrees. My medical insurance is only 5% because the business that I'm applying for is paying for half of my medical insurance. The food section is 7% because I'm going to be eating at home a lot and every few hours I tend to want to have snacks. The taxes that I'm paying for is 26% because these days us working people have to pay for the ones who are not physically or mentally able to work or get an education. My utilities are 5% because the apartment that I'm renting is fully furnished and has free Wi-Fi. My transportation is 12% because I have a Honda Accord that is fairly new, so is fairly expensive. Plus, I chose to get a good insurance just in case. My 3 trade-offs is I gave up living alone to split the cost 3 ways and share an apartment with 2 other people. The second one is I would have to work the hardest I've ever had to work in my entire life. And finally, I gave up having a pet to make sure that I had enough money to pay off all of the expenses of life. For my resume and qualifications, I'm attending the University of Kansas to get my master's and bachelor's degree in science. But the most accurate skills that I have been known for is a problem solver, flexible, hard worker, and finally, patient. I've attended internships at many places. I've done some student assisting, and I've been a clinic assistant. My 2 references are Anna Smith and Jane Morgan. For my letter of application, I'm writing to Mr. Matt Nelson, and he owns a therapy office called Austin Hanford. And he is offering a full-time occupational therapist position, which I'm applying for. In this clinic, they have spent almost all their time making it a better place to work. But for my 5 websites, I went through Bureau of Labor Statistics, Career One Stop, the Vocational Information Center, Prospect website, and Career Thoughts. All 5 of these websites have really helped me figure out what I wanted to be and the path that I was going to take. My first article is McHenry County College's first occupational therapy assistant class to graduate. There were not enough students in the study of occupational therapy. There are only 13. So these 13 students managed to make the class and managed to complete the course. This article tells that that we can accomplish anything that we want to in life. My second article is Central Arkansas Catholics Give Child Use of Her Hands. Marilyn was a little girl who had no strength in her left arm, and her only good arm was her right arm. There are many occupational therapists that were willing to help Marilyn get through this. They went through a lot of therapy sessions, and finally, and they were working on her lifting weights and working on hand-eye coordination. And finally, she can be an ordinary girl and do the things that she always wanted to do. As you can see, it is very hard to pursue a job that can be all over the place, as in helping people that are sometimes confused or don't want to cooperate at all. There's quite a bit of school time and commitment that is involved. I hope you have learned something new in my presentation. Thank you.